So I just got the chance to watch The Prosecutor, starring Donnie Yen, and also directed by Donnie Yen. I'm not sure if he has directed any movies before, but he directs this movie really well, especially the action scenes. I mean, he's been doing actions and stunts for many years, so I won't be surprised if the action and stunts are really that good here, but they are really good here. Now, this story is based on true events. That's how the movie opens up with the text. Let me give a quick plot synopsis of it. Donnie Yen plays this police officer, and the movie opens with a gang bust. After the gang bust, he gets severely injured at the neck area, and then there's this courtroom drama showing how there's a lot of loopholes in Hong Kong law, so even the bad guys can get out easily. So he gives up on his current job as a police officer for two main reasons. One, there's a lot of loopholes in the laws of Hong Kong. Two, he just can't do some of the stunts and some of the fighting that he could do in his earlier days. He's getting old now, and he even says that his limbs hurt whenever he's running or doing kicks or whatever. So it's really hard for him. So he quits the police and then joins the Department of Justice so that he can fix the loopholes in the judiciary system. So he becomes a prosecutor, and his first job is this boy who got accused of drug trafficking. Wrongly accused of drug trafficking, might I add. At first, the boy pleads guilty because he's being misled by his lawyers, and then you realize, oh shit, this boy is actually innocent after all. And then they apply for a reappeal so that they can have the courtroom drama again, and then the 10-year sentence that he had jumped up to 27 years. And then Donnie Yen sees all this, and then he realized, holy shit, this boy just got misled, he's actually innocent, and he wants to fix the loopholes in the crime system. So he fights for this boy so that he can get the justice he deserves and he can be deemed innocent just like he is. Now let's start talking about the things that I really love about this movie. First and foremost, I need to talk about the action scenes, because the action scenes here are really tremendous. The opening action scenes when they're doing this gang bust in this abandoned building, it's so cool, man. There's a lot of first person POV shot, so it feels like you're playing Call of Duty, and it just looks really cool. And the camera tracking and everything is just really well done here. And there are other action scenes as well. There's an action scene in a club, and that looks really cool as well. There's an action scenes in a train and an action scene in a multi-story car park. Really cool stuff. I like how Donnie Yen makes use of his surroundings in his fights so that it can work to his benefits, because he knows that he's getting old and therefore it's harder for him to fight people head on. So he needs to use the surroundings and whatever item there is to his benefit so that he can win fights. You know, it's interesting. For a guy who quit the police force because he decided he's getting old, he cannot do a lot of the action, especially in the bar fight scene, he takes on multiple people at once and still does a really good job at the fighting. So it's quite impressive. And then next, let's talk about the courtroom drama. Now, the huge portion of this movie is about the whole courtroom drama itself, whether this boy is really guilty or is he really innocent, like how he's saying. And the courtroom drama is actually surprisingly engaging. On one side, it's serious because you're dealing with a very serious subject, drug trafficking and the innocence of someone, whether he's guilty or not, the corruption, the justice, the loopholes inside. And on the other hand, with Donnie Yen's character, Prosecutor Folk, hopefully I'm pronouncing that name right, it's very funny, and I did not expect that level of comedy from him, especially in a courtroom hearing. So he's a prosecutor. He's supposed to be against the defendant, and then suddenly at one point he started supporting with the defendant, and then the judge is like confused. And he's saying, aren't you supposed to be against him? Why are you supporting him now? And then afterwards, when the defendant is saying all these things, and then Donnie Yen started criticizing him, and then the judge was like, weren't you with him just now? Why are you against him now? So it's really funny how this all goes. And of course, there's a lot of seriousness to it. And one thing I didn't really expect in this movie is the level of emotions. There's a lot of emotional beats in this movie, especially regarding the grandfather character, the boy who got accused, his grandfather. You can see the squalid conditions they live in because they are destitute. So it's really sad. I even teared up a bit in the cinemas for his character. It really made me feel bad for him. The gang relationship, the connections, all of it felt believable, like honestly believable, because it's based on true events, so that's probably why. But it's really good. It's really well done. Some people might criticize Donnie Yen's character, Prosecutor Folk, because he doesn't have a character development or anything. He doesn't have a character arc. He just stays stagnant throughout the film. And I have to say, I really liked his character. Maybe because I like this kind of really honest, loyal, and fair characters in movies and television. Probably that's why some people might not like him, because whereas I like him. Now, let's get to my drawbacks. I have a few drawbacks here. First and foremost, I think the way they dealt with the law system is a bit cliche, because it's like good versus bad. That's what it feels like to me, quite straightforward, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you have law as one of the things that you're talking about in your film, I feel that when it comes to law, there's a bit of moral ambiguity to issues, especially big issues like these sometimes. And I felt that they didn't tap into that, you know? So for example, the good guys are the poor people who are being oppressed and manipulated by the evil guys, who are the rich people, who are drinking their wine, living luxuriously in very expensive houses, where the poor guys are living at very battered and terrible conditions. So it feels a bit cliche. Next, I feel that information is being passed, especially in the courtroom drama. I feel that the information is being passed out quite quickly. Sometimes it's hard to follow and hard to keep track. So I felt that they could have slowed down the pacing with that. Last but not least, I felt that the plot was a bit too predictable. There is nothing wrong with the plot being predictable at all. It did not ruin or tarnish my experience of this movie. This is just a wish. Other than that, I really had a fun time in watching this movie. If you have seen the movie, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. And if you like this video, click the like button. If you want to see more, subscribe to my channel, and see you guys next time. Guys, always the best.